Good morning, Clayton. How are you?
Morning. Good.
We're with Clayton Murphy. He's the 2016 Olympic bronze medalist in the 800 meters. Something that, Clayton, you may not have known, I was calling your race live on BBC Global Radio. And 2 minutes before your race, they told me to pick the top three. I
Yeah.
picked you for the bronze. And they asked me
Really?
why. And I said, because you don't get in trouble on that final straight. And I watched all the other guys race that summer, because I've been going back and forth between
Yeah.
you and stuff. And I, had seen you, and I just had real confidence the way you did stuff. And David Hunter, who well, David's my senior editor, and he is the man in charge of the Clayton Murphy fan club because he keeps me updated all the time. So it's finally nice to get to chat with you. I hope we get to do it face to face sometime. But
For sure. We'll figure it out.
thank you for this RunBlogRun little Zoom conference. And are you in Eugene? Or are you in Portland?
I'm in Portland, Beaverton. So
Yeah.
like right by Ward headquarters. So.
Yeah, my son moved to Hillsboro a few months ago, and they love
nice.
it from San
Yeah,
Jose.
that's where my first apartment was. So I lived in Hillsboro on 185th out in Tannisbourne. I don't know if you're familiar. And then moved. I've lived in 3 different places. I lived right across the street from Nike. Walked to the track every day, and then Ari and I moved into a little bit bigger house that had a yard for the dogs and stuff. That's slightly farther from campus, but still Beaverton area. So,
what kind of dog do you have?
we have 2 French bulldogs.
Oh, nice. Yeah, my son has a Boston Terrier, Hachi, and then he got a blue heeler.
Nice.
And then I've had boxers, and my brothers had Rots, so always been around dogs. And
nice.
If I actually stay in one place for a while, I'll probably get a dog again. So in this crazy time, tell us a little bit about how your training's been going.
Yes. So I've actually had dealing with some injury over the last, it'd be 3 months now. Really ever since indoor. Since about the 1st of March, I've been dealing with some lower leg issues on my right leg. Multiple different issues kind of flaring up, coming back, not healing. And then obviously I went through about a 6-week stretch where Oregon almost shut down completely, where getting physical therapy, getting massage work on it, being able to see anybody hands-on was extremely difficult. And obviously I went from pretty much being, as much as I wanted physical therapy, the situation I was in, to obviously with COVID-19 and everything being shut down, to almost having no hands-on work. So my body was not responding well to the injury, not responding well to the lack of treatment that I was used to. And I think it slowed the process of healing for sure. I'm slowly getting back to running 6-7 days a week, starting to string together days in a row now with no ramifications, which is good. Now with the move, now it's made running a little bit of a secondary thing, trying to get everything moved.
Sure.
But so I'm just kind of getting back into things, getting back to full board healthy, and hopefully when I get into Ohio in the next 2 weeks here, get back on a schedule, get back where I can get physical therapy and massage a couple times a week and get myself 110%.
Why did you decide to move back to Ohio?
So obviously the Oregon project disbanded at the end of 2019, and that was my full-gone training situation here was with Alberto and working with the Oregon project and being a full-time member. And obviously when I disbanded, I was left with some decisions to make. There was options for me to stay here. There was coaches for me to work with here. But I decided to work back with Coach Lebetti, who obviously I've had success with. We have a great relationship still. We stayed connected. He knew what was going on. It was the easiest transition, and I think it was by far the best decision for me. The decision to make then would have been whether Ari and I stay here in Portland and continue our lives here where we've made it for the last 3 years, or make the trek across the country back to Northeast Ohio. And went back and forth on it for a long time. What's best for me, for training, for my family, for Ari and I, for her career and her life, and what she wants to do with everything. So ultimately we decided that it was best for us to move back. And it was going to be I wouldn't say it's going to be super complicated with the Olympic trials and the Olympics, but we were faced with some difficulties and overlapping rents and multiple trips back and forth and different things to figure everything out. but now that with no racing currently, it's actually made it extremely easy to make the move.
Do you think you'll do the abbreviated European season this year?
I think there's two factors to that. I think one is if it's healthy for me to go, and if I feel it's safe. Obviously, I'm not going to do anything to put myself at risk long term. Not going to put myself, my family or Ari at risk. And also, if I'm healthy and fit and feel like it's best for me going into 21 to get a few races in, then I will. Otherwise, we've talked about getting back to full board healthy when I'm healthy, running some time trials, run some just individual races, just at the track, just to get some high level races in. But obviously, kind of just playing it week by week at this point with the injury and with what the world's going through.
Now, is Ari continuing to compete? Is that her plan?
No. So she stepped away. She was dealing with some injuries and some stuff. So she's kind of stepped away at this point and has began teaching dance and teaching some kids at daycares and Montessori's and stuff. So I think she's on the transition. I don't think she's completely let go of it, but I think she's found some stuff she's very passionate about and really enjoying.
It's this time with COVID has been surreal. What's it been like in Oregon? You guys been pretty much by yourselves?
Yeah, we've been pretty much on lockdown. Was making the once a week trip to the grocery store, wearing the masks. I mean, obviously everything's, and we took everything pretty much to an extreme right away here with the mask, with the 6 feet away, with the limiting, the directions of walking down the stores, of the aisles, and just everything non-essential was shut down. A lot of local restaurants that are shutting down or not even surviving just because of the culture of Portland, just to go out to eat and enjoy the culture of a restaurant. Is it the same when you're serving the food out of a takeout box? There's a lot of stuff. So the Portland economy, I think for sure is going to suffer a little bit just because of the culture of its very outdoor connected community feel. But we're slowly opening things back up. I know that the governor's opened up multiple counties in Oregon, but Washington County, which is the Beaverton area, is not opened up a lot of things, but they're starting to slowly open things back up.
Now, the Nike campus is still closed?
Yeah. So I actually haven't, like I said, I haven't been training full go, so I haven't needed a track. I've been doing almost my training either on the Woodway in my garage or going to the trails by Nike or like just lifting in my garage. But from what I know, there's letting some people use the track to work out on that are based in Portland. But most athletes are doing a lot of their work on the bike paths or on the trails or different places. And I know that Nike employees on campus have not gone back to work yet, and I don't expect to for a few more months still.
The transition from Alberto's group to the present for you, how has that been for you?
I kind of used the example. I've been using the example that kind of like riding a bike when you haven't rode it for a while. You kind of get on, you're a little wobbly at first, and you're like, oh, like I thought I could do this super easy. You're really confident in it because it's such a simple thing. You think it's such a simple thing, and then after riding it a time or two, you're back on to go on full blast. And I think that's kind of how we were. There were some bumps at the first where I'd look at the workout and I think it'd be easier than what I had with Alberto, or I did the workout in the past and I thought it was easy, or there's a structure different or whatever. And then I learned that very quickly that there's no easy workouts really, and everything's gonna be tough still. And I kind of had to refocus myself and adapt to some different things and some minute differences that Coach Lebetti does comparative to Alberto, or minute differences that I've done in the past. Sure. But also, Coach knows that I'm now more mature, I'm stronger, doing more miles, doing higher intensity. So he's upped his intensity and different things that he's done different because he knows that I can handle it now. So there's some things that I was doing in the past that I was like, oh, I can do X workout, but then he'll minutely change it where it becomes extremely more difficult for me to do because he knows that I can handle a lot more now. So there's some things that we're learning about each other again. But sure. Like I said, it's kind of like riding a bike. We're back rolling. Yeah. We're back going and riding away.
All right. I got 3 questions that'll kind of take us off this thing. But first one is, you're in front of a room of high school kids, and a kid asks you, what's the biggest mistake you made as a high school athlete? What would you tell them?
I mean, it's really simple, but like I never stretched as a high school athlete. I went into college a very inflexible person, and I think that it limited me in the volume and amount of training I could do because I was so susceptible to injuries as a freshman, and Coach Lebetti was very careful with me my freshman year as far as adding intensity, because it wasn't necessarily the low intensity, low mileage program I was in. It was just the fact that I had no treatment plan. I didn't see a trainer in high school. I didn't see a massage therapist. I didn't see a chiro. I didn't do any kind of preventative work as a high school athlete. I think that's a very simple thing, that whether it's going to see a physical therapist once every couple weeks just to make sure your body's aligned and ready to go, and that you're recovering and stretching and keeping your body as healthy as possible and as fit and fine-tuned as possible as you can do. I didn't do that in high school. I just went out, did the workout, went home, ate dinner, and hung out. I mean, that was like, so I think that was like something that like, it's very simple to do, that you don't necessarily have to have like a lot of resources to do. It's whether it's foam rolling or stretching, whatever you got to do to keep your body going. I didn't do that. And that's when I tried to up the intensity in college, it limited me.
What's the biggest lesson you learned when you were a college athlete? If you're looking back at it now, what probably the biggest lesson that you learned?
Probably, I mean, I think it's very common, but I think time management's a big aspect that people don't understand. It's like in high school, you go from where your mom cooks you dinner and everything's kind of lined up and you got everything going, to college where other than your coach writing your workouts and your team organizing your travel and your meets and stuff, everything else is on you to get your homework done, to get to practice on time, to make sure that you got clean clothes for practice, to make sure you got your shoes like in the right place. You're not leaving them in your dorm like when you go to practice. I mean, all these things are very little things that add up very quickly. So I think very quickly time management was something that I learned in college.
Recently, your university, the university you graduated from, University of Akron, has decided to close down the men's cross country program.
Correct.
Can you explain your thoughts about it? And my understanding is you're asking them to reconsider.
Yeah, so I have, along with JT Olson, who coaches at Medina High School, and he's a graduate of Akron and ran cross country. JT and I have decided to really take up the alumni efforts of voicing our concerns for the cut. We have spoke with the athletic director. We've spoken with multiple experts across the NCAA about financial ramifications of cutting the program, the Title IX issue. We're really at the point of gathering our final evidence and final thoughts to present to the university in a very strong way. It's something that has taken up a lot of my time and I'm become extremely passionate about. I think it's much bigger than just cutting men's cross country. I think that I think there's for sure evidence that cutting men's cross country is going to cripple the entire track program for future success. And I think it's one of the most successfs programs at the university. And I mean, look at the 2016 Olympics. I mean, multiple athletes from the university was there representing the Zips. And now you're going to cut a men's cross country program that could potentially hurt the success of the entire program as a team. And that's really what Coach Mitchell has built there, is the Akron Zips as a team, as a unit. Every event group's equally recruited, equally coached, equally resourced. That's one of the things that we're proud of, is that we're such a well-rounded team for a small school. And to cut the men's cross-country team is going to very much inhibit the men's distance. And so it's something that we're passionate about. We're frustrated by the university's lack of clarity with the reasoning, lack of wanting to speak and talk. And so we're drafting up a second letter to the president of the university to propose a conversation to be able to present our evidence. And then, like I said, we're kind of in the final stages of gathering the actual numbers and the actual evidence that we're ready to kind of present to the media, to the public, to the alumni, and to the university that really back us up more than just the hundreds of alumni who have reached out and pledged and donated in the letter that we've written, kind of just expressing our concerns. We're ready to kind of take the next step into the fight.
Well, we will commit to putting anything that you write up on RunBlogRun, but also our 16 other sites. And I will put you in contact today with the editor of Run Ohio. I'm wearing that shirt today just because I know.
Oh, nice.
Matt McGowan. Matt was a 223
Okay, yeah, I feel
guy.
like I've talked with Matt a few times. Yeah,
Good guy, and he's at the forefront of this. He's a big deal. There's a guy named Sam Seams at the U.S. Track Coaches and Cross Country Coaches Association that I'll get you his email. He's down outside of Baton Rouge, but they have like 9,000 coaches, and they may have some resources to help you too.
Awesome.
Because this is. I went to Santa Clara University, and at the time, we didn't have a track program. They started with cross country. I was their first scholarship there my senior year, which really helped for a private school, but it was only $3,500 back then. A little different now. But it's just, how big of a part do you believe cross country has played in your development as an 800-meter runner?
I think it's huge. I think that I'm a very strength-based 800-meter guy, and for me to be able to push myself in cross country, test my limits, and improve my fitness to the point of being all region at the Great Lakes region in the 10K one year. I mean, I think it was a huge factor, and I dedicated. I told the athletic director, and I don't think he really realizes it, but and really put in retrospect to like how important it is to distance runners and how intricate it is to the track team in general. I would not have attended University of Akron had it not been cross country. It was a very important factor to me. I mean, I went into the University of Akron there's multiple things I wanted to do, whether it was win indoor and outdoor team titles, break 4 minutes in the mile, be an All-American, all these things that Coach LeBady and I had sat down on my first recruiting trip and talked about. And one of the top things on that list was winning a team title in cross country. And I poured heart and soul into that sport, into that fall. We wanted to win the Triple Crown so bad as men. I mean, we walked away from every MAC championship for the 3 years that we lost, and we're just disappointed every time. Even if we were the best team we'd ever been at the University of Akron, we were extremely disappointed. I remember coming back from World Championships in 2015 from China, and I flew back and I hadn't slept for 36 hours. I slept for about 15 hours straight. And then after I woke up the next morning, I was out doing a tempo with the guys for the time trial for cross country, because I wanted to be out there with them and ready to go. And I was nowhere near, should not have been out there. I didn't finish it, but I was dedicated to the team, and I wanted to show that the guys that I was there for the fall, and I wasn't going to take it easy, and I wasn't going to take a month off and miss the cross country season. I mean, I was there. So it was a huge part of my development, a huge part of the reason that I went there. And it was a huge piece of who I am today.
I want to take you back to a few of your experiences and just get your thoughts. What was Beijing like?
It was very interesting. It was my first huge international experience. I mean, I went to Pan Am's in Toronto and Costa Rica for NACAC. I mean, those are my first two international experiences. But I mean, Costa Rica and Toronto aren't Beijing. So it was a very eye-opening experience. I mean, it's the first time flying that far, seeing that culture, getting off a plane in such a busy, hectic airport, trying to find my way to the USA staff to get to the hotel. Yeah. I mean, the city itself was incredible. The traffic, the buildings. I mean, we spent 3 days in a row after we were done running. We went to the Silk Market and we're shopping, and I was in what they call the offices, which is the basement where all the extra good fakes are and stuff like that. I mean, we were enjoying our time. And I mean, to race in the bird's nest was incredible. I was so overwhelmed the first day, I didn't really get to take it in. I was just kind of like, I was so locked in trying to keep myself blocked out. And then I remember the semifinal at night, I walked out and I started to do the jog down the front stretch as they release you from the 100 start down to the start line. And I was doing the jog and I got about 50 meters down, and all of a sudden I just kind of like looked up, and it was the biggest mistake probably to look up and see the bird's nest, because instantly I just like was taken back. My breath was gone. I had to stop and like bend over and just kind of like regain myself, because I was just like, wow, I'm here. Like I went from from racing at Tri-Village High School in front of 100 people at the local track meets to now competing in front of hundreds of thousands and millions on TV and in the Bird's Nest where they hosted the Olympics 7 years ago. I mean, it was an incredible experience, and I think for sure springboarded myself into 2016.
Let's go to 2016. Were you surprised by your medal, or were you and coach talking about it? Did you feel you had a good shot?
Our entire training and race strategy is, and it devolves to the part of the season we're in and the part of the race we're in, is if we can get to 2/3 of the race, 3/4 of the race in a position to win or be in the top three, that I have a pretty good shot of whatever race I'm in or whatever I'm doing. Mm-hmm. So that was our game plan going in, was said that if we can get to 600 where I'm comfortable and in a position to medal, that who knows what could happen. Obviously at that point, it's the end of an extremely long season. Had went through cross country, went through track, indoor and outdoor track, and again, poured my heart and soul into representing Akron. I extended my season out, and we did some new different things after trials and training just to get my season extended. And I just PR'd in the semifinal and was racing on the Olympic final. So, I mean, it was so many factors going into it, but I was just so focused in that race. And we just said, as I can get to 600, 650 in a position where I can at least give myself an opportunity, that hopefully the adrenaline and the rush will kick in, and it doesn't matter how long the season is. So I don't think it wasn't something that we talked about. It wasn't something that like, hey, we're going to go for a medal. It was, hey, let's just be in a position to give myself at least a chance.
When you came down that last straightaway, what do you remember? What do you tell yourself in a situation like that?
There was two things I remember. I said, I wish the rest of the race was 15 meters long. I'd have silver. I always wish that, or I wish I'd gone earlier. And The other thing was just like, pray to God that I'm like closing faster than the dude behind me, because I knew there was going to be somebody coming. Yeah. You're on the international stage. You're not the only one that kicked well. And then you look back at the tape. I forget who it was. I think it's Rodich was coming hard on behind me too. So my thought was correct. I just happened to go early enough and have enough left to hold him off. But that was like my biggest fear, was just getting nipped at the line by somebody behind me, because I'd done that so many times to people to win races or do different things, but just was so terrified of it happening to me to not win a medal. Sure.
How did that change your career?
I mean, I think it was a huge, like I said, 2015 was a springboard in 2016. And I think 2016 really reassured that I could do this at the next level. Obviously I'd committed to turning pro, and well before that I'd won Olympic trials and had success. But I think that kind of reassured me that I can compete against the best in the world. I think it gave me some confidence going into the next couple of years of my career for sure.
You worked out for a period with Donavan Brazier. Did you guys enjoy that?
Yeah. So I worked in and out with Donavan. Obviously, our trainings are pretty drastically different. Okay. And even when I was with Alberto in 2019, up until Prefontaine last year, 110% of my training was towards the 1500 and running the 1500 at USA's and Worlds. So I was even more drastically different than what I mean. Donavan and I's 800 training is already different, and we were sliding in and out of some stuff. But even when I transitioned to the 1500, it became completely different. And I mean, we'd do easy runs, and he'd slide into a couple of my tempos and do repeats off my tempos or stuff like that. But very rarely did we really get an opportunity to really kind of like meet in that middle ground where we could have probably pushed each other or challenged each other in practice, just because of how drastically different our trainings were.
You see your future in the 1500, is that correct?
I think there's for sure a future there. Yeah. By no means am I going to let go of the 800. Even if I think I'm at the point now where whatever I want to focus on for that year, at the World Championships or the Olympics that are upcoming in the USA's, I think the other one is a very integral part of it. I remember sitting down with Coach Labady in February, and we said, we're talking about the schedule and what to do and what we felt was best. And we decided that I was going to run the 800 at the Olympic trials in the Tokyo. And he said that, he's like, well, that doesn't mean you can't do this. You got to do this in the 15. You got to be fit. I was like, sorry, shook that. I was like, Coach, I still want to break 350 in the mile. I still want to challenge myself at Prefontaine in the Bowerman Mile. I still want to race like the Oslo Dream Mile if I can get into it. I still want to race these fast 1500s at Monaco. I want to challenge myself in these races still. It's by nothing that me choosing one or the other means that I'm letting go of the other. I think for sure for the rest of my career, I'll be bouncing back and forth, and whatever one I choose to run and focus on for the year, the other one will be an intricate part of my success in that one.
How do you explain the difference in feel between, okay, I try not to miss Monaco any season because it's like track and field circus,
Mm-hmm.
and each race is exciting. And the European circuit, you get over there and they run through 152 in the 800 and you're going, God, I'm in 8th place. And you're flying. And then you're in an Olympic final, and some of the guys who've run fast times just can't handle the tactics. So how do you juggle the needs of the European circuit, or the Wanda League, where they want you to run fast and everybody wants
Mm-hmm.
a fast PB, and then being in a race where you're there the whole time and you're present the whole time, like in a championship?
I think that my 3 years as a collegiate athlete really prepped me well for the tactical racing, championship racing. I mean, a bulk of my collegiate racing was that. I mean, very rarely do you nowadays it's much more common for collegiate guys to get in line, chase collegiate records, go to Peyton Jordan, go to Brian Clay, get in line, run these fast times. Where I was when I was racing, very rarely did I get in races like that. Even when I went to Mount Sac, I was in either it was a fast race for me, but it was still a lot of guys racing and going in and out of position, or it was a tactical kind of race, or it was championship Mid-American Conference races where I was in many of them. So I think I had a lot of experiences over 3 years as an Akron athlete that gave me confidence going into these tactical championships. That for me, the mental side of a race like that is become something I'm very comfortable with. I think the time trial side is something that I've become more comfortable with, and I'm still becoming more comfortable with. But training under Alberto for sure challenged me to the point of where going into the time trial race, like it doesn't matter what the time is on the clock. I'm just going to be as tough as I possibly can be and be there at the end of the race and try to kick a few people down or kick myself down to a fast time. So I think the collegiate system opened me up to the tactical side, and the high level, high intensity training that I've had over the last 3 years has really prepped me well for the Diamond League type races.
Okay. What is your favorite workout to do?
Two workouts, and one's not really technically. I love hard long runs. I used to hate long runs, but now I'd much rather go for 12, 14 mile hard long run than an 8 mile easy run. I don't like easy runs. I think they're boring. I just don't enjoy them. I love to challenge myself. And then I think on the track, I love anything with like short rest, whether it's like 4-3-2, 5-3-2, where it's like 500, 300, 200 with a 100-meter jog in between, or it's like 400. It's like a broken mile with the short rest in between and a long rest after. I love the short rest stuff where you feel good at the first rep or two, and then the last ones you're really having to challenge yourself. I think those are some of the workouts that prepare me best for racing.
Is there a workout you absolutely hate, but it helps you?
Anything with reps over 800 meters. Mile repeats, 1200s, multiple thousands, even repeat eights. I hate the time, the 400 splits of like the pace of like 62 to 66. That's such an awkward pace where you're super extremely comfortable, but you have to mentally stay focused. And too many workouts, I get like, this is super easy. My mind wanders. I'm thinking about dinner. I'm thinking about the weather. And all of a sudden I go through 800 of a mile and I'm 4 seconds slow, and I've got to now kill myself the last 800 and do it all over. And so I hate anything of that, like middle long distance stuff that's at the awkward pace.
Did you do tempo stuff over at the soccer pitch on the berm? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember so we did Ronaldo out on the big soccer field in the middle of campus.
Yeah. I've known Alberto since we were 19, and I was at Santa Clara when he was at Oregon, and got to watch him coach. And I would go hang out and just watch the tempo workouts sometimes, and they just blew my mind. But
we did. I did a tempo once with Yomif where we started on the turf, and I was doing 6 mile tempo, and I was supposed to do the first 3 miles. And Donavan, this is one with Donavan. Yomif had started earlier. Yomif was doing 8 miles, so he was going to do 4 on the 5 on the grass and then 3 on the track, and we were going to do the last 3 together on the track. And I was supposed to do the last 3 of the grass with him. and we were only supposed to be 4:55 roughly. The grass was supposed to be pretty easy. And I started with Donavan. Donavan was running 1200 of my 1200 on, 400 off. And I started with Yomif, and I went through the first 400, and we were on like 4:45 pace with Yomif. And I like kind of backed off a little bit, and Alberto's trying to tell him, Yomif, slow down, slow down, slow down, like run with Clayton, run. And he wouldn't do it. Wouldn't comprehend it. And I kind of I was like during the rep, I was like, Alberto, do I go? Do I stay? He's like, no, just run like 4:55, 4:50 pace, like whatever you feel comfortable with. Just like get through the 3 miles, and then we'll really push you on the track. And I remember going to the track, and when we ran pretty much a true 5K on the track, and I pretty much ran almost 14 flat on the track with Yomif at the end of that workout. We were flying, and it was one of those workouts where on the back stretch I'd get gapped by 5, 6, 7 meters by Yomif, and then on the front stretch I'd kill myself to catch back up and stay connected. And Yomif's just jogging along at 14 flat pace, and I'm like busting my butt to keep up with him. But that was probably like one of those workouts where it's like you always remember it.
Were you surprised how well Yomif did at the 10,000 in Doha?
No. That dude, ever since he arrived in Portland and I was training with him and Galen was training with him, there's things he did that were just incredible. I remember one of the first runs Galen did with him. Galen came back and told Alberto and I that he runs, how did he word it? His easy runs are easier than Mo ever made him look like. And Mo was obviously that great. Some of the runs, Yomif, you have to put a governor on him. You have to put a limit on him. Otherwise he will go as hard as you possibly can see a man go. They make him run on the treadmill because that way they can limit how fast he goes. Because if you just let him run, like he'll just run. Him and Sifan are the same way. I've never seen two people work harder than what they work and push themselves as hard as they push themselves.
Yeah, no, I've watched Sifan for a long time, and I remember her just running cross country in Europe, but she has a drive, you
think Sifan's done, and all she's doing is she's just getting started. Wow. There was workouts where like I would be running. Alberto's biggest thing is like, if you're feeling good, we're gonna strike while the iron's hot. And so if you're having a workout where you're feeling good, the workout never ended until you couldn't finish what he was giving you. And there was a workout where I was going and she was going, and she started running 3/4 of what I was running. And every time we started the rep, you'd think no way she's getting. I was doing repeat 4s, and I think she's doing 300 or 250 of them. And I'm like, there's no way she gets to this one. And she'd get through it right on my shoulder. Then the next one, I'm like, there's no way she gets through this one, and she gets through that one. She's an incredible athlete. Yomif's an incredible athlete. So nothing they did at Doha that I think surprised anybody that knew who they were and how much work they put in.
What is the biggest lesson that you've learned as a professional athlete?
I think it's really time management to an even higher extent, because everything you had as a collegiate that was handed to you with the team, the medical, the travel, everything like that becomes on you. Yeah, obviously you have an agent, you have a coach, but at the same time, like if your agent gives you the meet or the flight, like you still got to make the flight. You still got to get from the flight to the track sometimes. Yeah. If it's a domestic race, like my agent books my flight, but then I got to pick up the car. If I want to rent a car, I got to get myself to the hotel. Or if it's international meet, like there's usually somebody picking you up from the airport, but sometimes there's not. Sometimes you got to figure out your way to get in a taxi. There's so many little things that you had taken care of in college that now become your responsibility. So even more time management. There's no school to keep your time oriented. You got to really keep yourself focused.
Who's your agent?
Paul Doyle.
Oh, I love Paul. Paul,
yeah. He's actually making the drive with me on Friday.
Really?
Him and JT are driving. We're driving the U-Haul in my car, and we're going to rotate between three of us. Yeah.
That's a good road trip. I moved from California to Wisconsin. I have a farmhouse in Wisconsin between Madison. That's in Milwaukee. That's where I'm at now.
Oh, nice.
And been out here on and off for 20 years. And just
nice.
I was raised in St. Louis. When the time came, I wanted my son to be raised in the Midwest. Now he's back in California, in Oregon. But it was good out here. And it's your family's in Northwest, or is it Northeast Ohio as well?
No, they're in Western Ohio, right on the Indiana-Ohio line. So okay. Yeah, I'm just on the other side of Dayton. Yep.
Oh, good. Okay, so we're down to about 3 minutes, and Mike gave me a couple questions. And I understand some of this, but I'm not like I played like one game in 30 years on computers, okay? But I know my son, Adam, and his buddy Mike, who managed Shoe Addicts for me, they're big on Call of Duty And I understand you play games you videotape your games on Twitch, or you do them live?
I do them live. So I've started doing them live. So a couple times a week, I stream live on Twitch. But I try to do more than just play video games. I'll pull up races and talk through races with people. Always answering questions about track. Even if I'm playing the games, I'll answer the questions with the chat, trying to talk about track, answering questions about college experiences. But like today, I'll get on in a couple hours here and take a break from packing and stream for a couple hours, and I'll spend an hour, a little bit longer, going over old races, talking people through what I was thinking, how I was training, just everything. And then I'll play some games. Last week, I had Robbie Andrews on live on Thursday, and we did like a track talk, a little podcasting on Thursday. So that's something I wanted to get going before I moved. That way, when I moved, it can go full board into it. But sure. I really want to get into I really want to do the Thursday talk shows with people from the track and field world and do more. I want to play video games. I enjoy video games. That's why I started it. But I want to do more than that. So I wanted to be able to do the video games as well as kind of have a track and field media that's like a live little open athlete type thing. What
games do you play?
I play Call of Duty, Overwatch, a little bit of everything. Try to like spread it out across a couple games.
Well, I'll tell the guys which ones you're playing, and I'm going to have to check you out, though. I haven't seen this. I'm curious to see how you do it, but I think it's really good that you're putting something back into the sport because kids need role models, and you're doing good things. And Clayton, it's a lot of fun to watch you race. It's been a lot of fun getting this time with you. We're down to about a minute, and it's not that I'm cutting you off. It's just the joy of Zoom. But good luck in your move. Good luck in your packing. I hate packing. I absolutely detest it. But
I moved every year of my life since I left for college, so I'm at this point becoming a packing pro.
There you go. Well, best wishes. We'll have this up in the next couple of days, and then we'll break it up into segments. It'll be up on RunBlogRun and then on our Running Network sites too.
Appreciate it.
Clayton Murphy, thank you very much. This is Larry Eder, RunBlogRun. We're with Clayton Murphy. We spent about 30 minutes with him, and he's on a move from lovely Oregon to Ohio. Best wishes.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Take care.
Bye.
Sports fans, it's Larry Eder with RunBlogRun. Here's our epilogue for the Clayton Murphy interview we just did. I've never got to meet Clayton. This was a lot of fun. Normally, David Hunter, our senior editor in lovely Ohio, opines on Clayton. I think he's kind of the head of the Clayton Murphy fan club. But Clayton is was a top NCAA athlete, as all of us know, most of us know. 2015, he went to Beijing for the World Championships. In 2016, he won an Olympic bronze medal at the 800 meters. He's trained with his University of Akron coach, Coach Levity, and I'm hoping I'm pronouncing his last name correctly. I don't want to mess it up. They sounds like they have a wonderful relationship. And after having spent a couple years with Alberto Salazar's group, when Alberto's Nike project was disbanded, Clayton had some decisions to make. And he decided to go back to Ohio. And he is leaving on Friday. He and JT and Paul Doyle are driving back, and that should be a lot of fun from Oregon to lovely Ohio. But I think there's a lot to be said for being in a place where you know your way around. You have a great relationship with the coach. The quality of life is such that you enjoy. Those things all make a lot of sense. Clayton is a very talented athlete. The 800 is still a big, big deal for him. But as you know, he's made some excursions in the 1500, and some of them have been quite successful. He's getting over some lower leg injuries right now, and that takes time. So the only question I didn't ask him was about the delay with Tokyo 2021. But my 2 cents is there's not going to be a Tokyo 2021. It's all about the coronavirus and how this thing changes, and that's affecting all of our lives. That Clayton has the presence of mind to be able to get himself in a place so when the world comes back to near normalcy or another version of normal, he'll be able to execute and to be able to compete, and he'll have a life. And I think those things are very, very important. I'm very curious about what he does on Twitch with this Call of Duty game, and also with talking to athletes like Robbie and doing interviews and talking to young kids. Those things are really, really important. He's a talented, thoughtful young man, and I think he has, after he decides to hang up the cleats, the spikes, he'll be able to, we should see him doing some things in media. I think he's very smart. There's a need for great athletic media because there's a dearth of it right now. And that's why we're trying to shake it up a little bit here in this at RunBlogRun. And the Shoe Addicts are working with us on podcasts, as well as we do some fun interviews with RunBlogRun that are all audio. So we're trying to put audio and video, text together to answer your needs. And if there's things that you'd like to hear about, email me at runblogrun@gmail.com or send me a tweet, and I actually respond. I'm wearing my Run Ohio shirt. Run Ohio is one of the partners of the Running Network. That's one of the groups that I work with, runningnetwork.com. They have about 14 regional magazines still. At one time they had 40 magazines, but they've got strong websites and magazines. I encourage you to support your local running media. It's really, really key. Make sure you're reading Track and Field News, the Bible of the sport. In the UK, they have Athletics Weekly, which is a wonderful magazine and website. Those are really key, too. And check out World Athletics. Great website. I love what they do at Spikes. And check out our RunBlogRun nightly e-newsletter. It's free. Everything we do is up on it. And support our sponsors. There's been key companies that have stayed with us through all this, and I appreciate that because it helps pay the bills. We've got 40 people who are involved with RunBlogRun and the Running Network in writing, in content development, and they've all got their bills to pay too. So any support you can do by supporting our sponsors means a lot. Our friends at Brooks have really stepped it up, and I really appreciate that. Nike's been there for a long time. Folks at Skechers have been there as well, and I really appreciate their support. So this is Larry Eder with RunBlogRun signing off for today, and I will talk with you soon.